Our last speaker for the night is co-founder of a very, very cool and innovative startup that you've probably heard of. It's called Foursquare. They've got more than 10 million users around the world. You might also know that he was the pioneer of a very cool company called Dodgeball. So please welcome me in joining Dennis Crowley, CEO of Foursquare.
Hi, how are you guys doing? All right. You guys warm me up, so it's like the crowd is where we're going here. So, by the way, first of all, congratulations for getting to the finals. This is kind of awesome. I didn't realize there was going to be this many people in the room. It's kind of great. I would have put on like a shirt and tie for you guys if I had known that. So my name is Dennis Crowley. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Foursquare. Do you guys know what Foursquare is? Yeah, all right, that's awesome. I'll tell you, I was backstage and I could hear some of you guys yelling. I'm like, that's awesome. Thank you. Thanks for knowing that. So, Foursquare, we're making, for those who don't know, we're making things for mobile phones that make cities easier to use. It's the whole idea of what Steve was talking about, like inventing the future, making software that lets you know that you're lost before you know it yourself. Like, we're building that stuff. Like, we're the ones that are building the future of what's going on with social and mobile and location technologies, and it's really, really exciting. We're doing it here in New York. The company's about 2 years old. We've got 75 people, which is crazy. This is my first time being CEO of a company. It's very exciting. We've hired a lot of our friends, a lot of our old coworkers. It's been a lot of fun. We've got about 10 million people that are using the service. It grows by about 1 million users a month. And this is all something that I started with my co-founder Naveen around my kitchen table like 2 years ago, 2 years and change. Back in the winter of 2009, like we were working out at my kitchen table, like making grilled cheeses for lunch, like hustling on this thing. And here we are, like on the stage in front of you guys. We've got 10 million users. We just raised a big round of financing. It's like all the stuff that we wanted to do is starting to happen. So actually, it's really fun to be up here. I've been in New York about 10 years, and I've worked at a couple different startups. I went to NYU for grad school, and it's funny because when I was at NYU, I took a class that was sponsored by Microsoft. And it was like a design expo class. And what we had, we worked in teams of 3 or 4, not dissimilar from what you guys are doing, and we competed against other schools. There was only like 4 or 5 schools that we competed with. But basically, it's a much, much smaller version of this contest. But I was sitting in the exact same seats that you were sitting in. This was like 5 or 6 years ago. But we learned, we were learning how to make products. Like at that time, we were trying to, the question that we were trying to solve is like, how do you make music social and more interesting? And so, we were doing product development, designing with our class, and we brought it to Microsoft, and we were part of this design expo, and our project won, because we were awesome. Thank you. But remember, it's like, all the stuff that we learned from this experience that you guys are having right now, is the stuff that's powering what's going on at Foursquare. And it's really exciting. And even what Steve was saying before about the folks that you're working with, the folks that you're meeting here, like, this isn't the last time you're going to see these people. These people are going to go on to run different startups, to run different businesses. The people that you're sitting next with, you might be working with them on your next project or 2 startups from now. And it's just the way the space works, and it's the way the community works. And that's exactly what happened at Foursquare. The people that I had that class with at NYU, like half of them work at Foursquare now. It's great. And so it's a really interesting kind of tight community. So what I really want to talk to you guys about, and I might go a little bit longer than 5 minutes, so sorry, is, so many people, like, we talk about 10 million users for Foursquare and 75 employees. People always say, like, oh, you guys are so successful, how did you do it? And, like, successful, like, it's, we're not there yet. And, if you go back, like, we've been working on a lot of these ideas for about 10 years or so. I've been in the city about 10 years. My very first job was like being a research analyst at this internet company, like making pie charts and doing like internet like data crunching and stuff. And when I was bored at my desk job, like I taught myself how to program. And because I had things I wanted to build. Like I wanted, hey, I want to build a city guide. I want to build things for phones. I don't know how to do it, I'm just going to teach myself how to do it. And I did it when I was bored at work. And I started this little company called Dodgeball. There was nothing for a while, but I used Dodgeball to get the attention of another company called Vindigo. And they're like, hey, you know how to make product stuff? You're totally not qualified for this job, but you seem to have made something, so they hired me. And I was like, sweet, that's a nice little stepping stone. And when I was at Vindigo, I was really excited. I was working on stuff that tens of thousands of people were using. And then eventually, I got laid off from that job. It was in the big internet crash of 2001, where all my friends lost their jobs. And so, I went from like the height of my career to like the rock bottom of it. Like I didn't do anything, I kind of bummed around all summer. Eventually, 9/11 happened in New York. and like all the jobs were gone. There just wasn't a lot of hope then. I ended up leaving the city. I worked as a snowboard instructor for a couple months before trying to figure out what to do next. And that's when I ended up back at NYU. And even when I was like up in New Hampshire teaching kids how to snowboard, I was tinkering with stuff. I was trying to build software that you would use on the ski slopes, which totally didn't work. And and then coming back to NYU, started thinking more about these things. I ended up meeting my co-founder for Dodgeball, this guy named Alex Raynar. We worked together for a couple years. Like we worked, we ended up taking the Dodgeball ideas and trying to make them a little bit smarter, a little bit more interesting. And eventually, like our little grad school project, our grad school thesis project at NYU, we got bought by Google. I'm like, wow, that's amazing. That's like a huge, huge win. And so, we were at Google and trying to make this stuff happen. We spent about 2 years there, and we couldn't make it happen. Like, it just wasn't the right time. Like, not enough people understood social, not enough people understood what was going on with phones. And the project eventually went away. So it was like another, you go from the very top of your career kind of down to the bottom. Like, I was unemployed again, and no one wanted to hire the startup founders. I couldn't make it work. And it was tough, and so I looked for work for a little bit, and eventually ended up, with another friend of mine, Naveen, my co-founder for Foursquare, sitting around my kitchen table, when we were 2009, being like, why don't we just try this thing again? And so we started rebuilding. And we knew the ideas were really good. Like, we knew they were good in 2001. We knew they were good when I went to NYU in 2004. We knew they were good when we went to Google in 2005. We knew they were good in 2007. We just couldn't make it work. And so we said, why don't we just try this again, right? It's like, pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and let's see if we can make it work. And so far it has, right? And so we're about 2 years into it, as I was saying, we've got, employees, 75 people, we have about 75 employees, it's very exciting. 10 million users we just hit. It's just, Foursquare usage is happening all around the world. It's just it's blowing up in ways that we just never anticipated it would. And and so it's funny when people ask me that question, like, oh, how did you guys get to be so successful? It's like, we're not Foursquare's success is built off of 10 years worth of failure. Like, everything that didn't work out at NYU, everything that didn't work out in my first job, everything that didn't work out at Google or Vindigo or teaching little kids how to snowboard, all that stuff has gone into the formula that makes Foursquare interesting and special. So whatever you guys are doing here, that's kind of the big thing. It's it's not an easy path, right? You're going to be, I'm sure this is the start, or maybe even the midpoint of a lot of you guys starting to become entrepreneurs, doing stuff on your own, being very excited about this. So I got two lessons, well, really, I got two things for you. And the first lesson is just, don't give up with whatever you're working on. Whatever the projects are here, whether you win or lose the competition, whatever happens after this, and whatever you guys end up doing a couple years from now, there's always going to be people that tell you they love your stuff, and there's going to be people that tell you they hate your stuff. There's always going to be people that don't get it. There's always going to be haters, right? And so just keep in mind that if you have good ideas, just keep working on them to make them right. If the time is not right now, it might be right in a couple of years. It might be right when you get some more people. It might be right when you start to learn a little bit more. So just keep plugging away at that. And that's my big lesson. The second thing I wanted to say, now that I'm 2 minutes over on my time here, is, you guys were in New York for a couple of days. This is great. Who's been in New York before? A couple of you guys? Yeah. Well, just promise me this. If you're here, it's your first time here, get out of Times Square, right? Go down and walk around the East Village, go walk around the West Village, explore New York. New York is the most inspiring place ever. The density of people and places and things to do. Everything that we're building at Foursquare, everything I've done in my career has been inspired by what goes on here. We see problems in the real world and we want to fix them. And we try to use technology to fix the problem that New York has. It's how do you make it easier to meet up with your friends? How do you make it easier to find places that you want to go? Everything that's inspired us and inspired our whole team has happened here. And when I say here, I mean away from Times Square. So please go out there and experiment. So that's about it for me. I just want to say congratulations to you guys again. Keep pushing at whatever you're doing. Proud of you guys already, and good luck with everything next. Thank you.